Can you believe it? I'm on time. I'm actually recording this video on April 30th so I can get it out on May 1st because every one of these videos, these wrap-up TBR videos have been, I feel like at least a week late. So can this become a trend? We shall see. But let's get into it, shall we? And talking about the books that I read last month. In case you missed my TBR from last month, I'll give you all the details and some mini reviews on these things. Some of these I am going to review for sure, formally. Some of them I probably won't. So if you have an opinion as to which ones I should review, let me know in the comments. And also, of course, talking about my TBR, what I plan to read this month. And you guys know, well, I guess if you're new here, you may not know, every month I allow viewers to choose what I'm going to read, the final book I'm going to read in May, well, of the month. This month is May, or the coming month is May. And what happens is you guys comment down below. Don't forget to upvote your selections because that's how I choose them. Inevitably, every single time, there's so many great suggestions out there, and I wish I could put them all in a poll. I just can't because YouTube only allows me to put 4 books in a poll. And then what I do is I take the ones that were upvoted the most, and if I don't have any upvotes, which often happens, I will take the ones that were suggested first. So that's another thing. Get your suggestions in there as soon as possible. All right, let's kick it off, shall we? So last month, the first book I read, actually it was maybe the second half of the book, maybe a little bit more because it's a long-ass book, and that long-ass book is called Imajica by Clive Barker. So this was a buddy read on my Discord server, which we're having some other buddy reads, which I'm going to get to very shortly. So if you'd like to join in on those or future ones, because I plan to make it a theme. It's a lot of fun. Check out the link down in the description. It's completely free to join. But anyway, Imajica, Clive Barker, the horror great. The funny thing about Clive Barker, though, is that he started off in horror. There's a famous Stephen King blurb that he put on all of his books that said something like, "I have seen the next face of horror, and it is Clive Barker." So that is based on the Books of Blood series that he got notoriety from. The funny thing is, though, he immediately went to kind of fantasy, what Clive Barker calls the fantastique, which is kind of urban fantasy, kind of dark fantasy. It's this real weird mix of horror and fantasy. But Imajica is part of that. So this is often lauded as his magnum opus. And how do I describe what Imajica is if you don't know what it is? Well, first and foremost, it was written in, I think, or released in 1992. And it starts off kind of urban fantasy, where there's a guy who is trying to find an assassin to kill his wife. But then there's other players, three specific players, I should say, POV characters in this book. And one of them is an artist, and the other one is, well, I won't spoil it for you because it's going to spoil it if I do. Let's just say it's the assassin. But anyway, I guess that's not a spoiler. But it could turn into anyway. I'll shut up. So this book it starts off small. It feels like classic Barker, walking in the grimy streets, meeting strange and interesting characters. But it turns into an absolutely epic novel of world-shattering, multiverse-shattering proportions, I guess you could say. Did I like it? I'd say I liked it overall. But again, it's one of those books that I always say I appreciate more than I like because it's doing a lot of great things. It's incredibly ambitious, but I don't feel like he nailed the landing, so to speak. Because you guys know out there, I love character-driven stuff. And he has plenty of characters in this, and he has all the opportunities to really make you get invested in the characters in the story. But he just didn't for me whatsoever. It was like he was so obsessed with the world building, with the lore, just sort of the symbolism, the symbolism with everything, what it was influenced by, et cetera, that he kind of lost sight of characterization, which is unfortunate because I think with a solid foundation in characterization, this could have been a great, great novel. Now, Clive Barker he's not really known for his characterization. In fact, that was my main complaint with The Hellbound Heart, which I read a little bit ago. I'll throw a link up here if you want to go back in time and see me review that thing. I liked it, but I didn't love it. But one thing I love about Clive Barker's work is that he's a great prose stylist. That's what Britain likes to say all the time. Um, yeah, he's great at writing the prose itself. It's often an omniscient view though, so it's not that like really nice limited third person or first person POV I love because I love really getting in the heads of the characters and seeing the world through their eyes. This book is also very, very rooted in sex, so that's a massive part of his brand, so to speak. And he's a very sexual person in that regard, or he has been in the past. He's a very old man now, so I'm not sure what he's up to. But yeah, it was just part of his life and his relationships and just everything. So that's what I've always appreciated about his stuff. It's always been dark and gory, but there's always this like weird sexual undertone to it. He's a very unique writer in that regard, and Imagica it fits right in. I would say that it gets very, very visual, uh, veering into pornographic territory, you could say. So this isn't suggestive sex. This is straight up play-by-play action. It was an interesting read. I'm definitely going to do a review for that one because I think it's an important book to talk about. Just because it's an older book, and I don't think a lot of people give Clive Barker the credit he deserves as a fiction writer. But yeah, it was all right. It was decent. I'm not going to give you a score right here, but stay tuned for the review of Magic by Clive Barker. Okay, the next book I read, which there's actually a review out right now, and I'll link it up above. It's At Dark, I Become Loathsome by Eric LaRocca. Eric contacted me through email and asked me if I would be interested in doing a review of one of his books. If he would send me a copy, and I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. Like, this is the first time sort of a big time author has contacted me to do a review, and I graciously accepted. And hopefully the review wasn't too I wasn't too tardy with the review because I had finished it maybe a week or so before I decided to, or before I was able to sit down and do it. But overall, one thing I forgot to talk about in my review, if you end up watching that, just like Imagica, the sexual content in this book is very, very explicit. And I'm not sure why I didn't mention it in the review, but maybe I should put a pinned comment about it. But it's about in case you didn't watch the review, it's about a man who has lost his wife from cancer or to cancer. His son has gone missing, his young boy, who I think he's like 8 or 9, and he is just he's in a terrible, terrible state because of it. And he does this thing where it's called a ritual, and he finds these people. Well, the people find him because he talks to these people online. They have terrible lives as well, and so want to be reborn, so to speak, symbolically, of course. So he buries them, gives them a oxygen tank. They're underground for about 30 minutes, and they come back a new person. It's this weird process, but really, to me, it felt like rebirth by proxy in a way because he is seeking to be reborn. At least that's the way I viewed it anyway. But very graphic and gory. It takes a little bit of time to get into that content, but very gory. I know Eric LaRocca has been tied to the splatterpunk genre, of which I think I've only read Gone to See the Riverman, which is coined as splatterpunk. However, this one is much darker. It's much more gory, much more sexual, like sexual violence kind of stuff. And I'm probably going to get tagged by YouTube by saying all these words. But yeah, it was brutal, but it was deep. It had a great angle of like just characterization and psychology. And I mean, I had my critiques, but they were few and far between, I think. I think it was a great effort, and I look forward to reading more of his work. So At Dark, I Become Loathsome. I recommend it. Check out the longer form review up above if you're curious. So the next book, and you guys know if you follow this channel, because you guys picked it, that is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. Now this book, I had mixed feelings about because I know people who have read it. They enjoyed it, but were kind of mixed on it. But so because of course it's tied to the book Lolita by Nabokov. So that book, I really enjoy that book. I think that's a masterwork, and it's just knowing that this book was inspired by that to a degree. It had some big pants to fill, big shoes to fill, big pants to fill. Man, what's wrong with me? Big shoes to fill. But here's the thing, and I'll talk about this more in my review because I'm going to try to record that this weekend, is that do not go in expecting this to be Lolita. Just throw Lolita out the window. Don't even think about it. Well, I mean, you can't not think about it, but try not to compare it to this book, because it took me a long time while reading this to understand that Kate Russell was not trying to do the same thing. So it's, if you're unaware, it's a very similar story. There's a 15-year-old girl. She is groomed by a teacher at a boarding school, but this is all from her POV. But the great thing about this book is that it's both it's in the present and the past. So you get to see the psychological effects that these events cause, but you also get to see out the actual events in real time, which is a little bit of a critique of mine, but I'll detail that out in my review. So that's the premise, really. It's about a young girl who's groomed by a teacher, and it's longer than Lolita by at least 100 pages, I think. So it's a much deeper exploration of the psychology of what that's like to get through. But anyway, what I'm trying to get at is that when I first started this book, first of all, amazing chapter 1, probably one of the best chapter 1s I've read in a long time. Just fantastic. I'll talk about it more in my review. But once we went back to the past, it kind of felt like expected. It felt, I don't want to call the writing lazy or the structure of the novel lazy by any stretch, because it's not. It's very well written. It's just the way that Russell was approaching it kind of was putting me off in a way. But I think it's because I had Lolita at the back of my mind the whole time. And once I grasped, man, that's a hard word to say, grasped the idea that this isn't trying to be Lolita. At least I don't think so. Granted, I haven't heard her say that, but it really helped me appreciate the book for what it was, or what it is. And it's a great book. I don't think it's a perfect book. I definitely have my critique, my criticisms about it. I do recommend it though. It much like At Dark I Become Loathsome, much like Imagica, it's very sexually explicit. And when you're, not all the time, but enough, right? I wouldn't say it's as explicit as those two books, but it's pretty damn close. And as you can imagine, it can be quite uncomfortable to read passages like that, considering the subject matter. So if that's something you're not okay with, then I would probably avoid it. I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on that as well, because I prefer a more suggestive kind of way when dealing with that stuff, because I think suggestion can be just as powerful, if not more powerful, than actually being explicit. Because if you have a great imagination out there, and if you're a reader watching this, I'm sure you do, you'll know that the unsaid often is what really affects you more, because you don't quite know. Your mind is left to wander into the darkest corners that it has. And so anyway, I know I'm rambling. I'll get into it a lot more, and I'll try to organize my thoughts more clearly in the review. But thank you guys out there. Thank you so much for suggesting it and voting on it, because I really enjoyed that book. So you guys always send great stuff my way, and I appreciate it. All right, so that was all I was going to say I was going to read. But guess what? I snuck one in. I snuck a new one in. One last one. It was actually a book that I think the great Carol Wainwright on YouTube, go check out his channel. He suggested, I think, 1 month. I don't know if it was this month or last month. I think it was last month. But that is The Crypt of the Moon Spider by Nathan Ballingrud. The reason why I read this, it's under 100 pages. It might be even under 90 pages, if I remember correctly. Very short. I finished Dark Vanessa very quickly, because I was doing audio and reading at the same time, and it was quite the addictive experience. I know that sounds terrible for me to say that, but it was a good read. But this one, I had a little bit of time left, so I decided, you know what, I'm going to do it. Crypt of the Moon Spider. What is it about? It's a weird book, man. So I read The Strange by Nathan Ballingrud, and I didn't really care for it a whole lot. I felt like it was relying too much on paying homage to the classics of horror and science fiction. This one is kind of the same way, but it's about this woman. So it takes place in the early 20s. This kind of threw me off completely. So it takes kind of a Martian Chronicles approach, where her husband is taking her to the moon. Yes, the moon we know and love, that is orbiting around us as I speak. And she has mental problems. So he takes her to this sanitarium, however you want to say it. and to get fixed, basically. But then it turns into this weird, man, it's kind of like sci-fi, but it's kind of like horror. It's such a mix. It's very pulpy in that regard too, because there's like a spider cult there. Apparently there's, a giant spider or spiders that exist on the moon or existed at one point. And anyway, that's a big part of the plot. And in a way I'm not going to spoil for you, but I guess one thing I appreciated about it is that, and why I'm saying it kind of feels like the Martian Chronicles, is that in the Martian Chronicles, they're on Mars, but they're just walking around like it's Earth. It's very similar like that in this book. So they go to the moon. It's just like Earth with some weird stuff like, spiders and spider webs and trees and stuff like that. And of course its own alien-like stuff. But yeah, that didn't bother me. That didn't bother me whatsoever. I feel like I was digging the vibe. I was never bored in the book whatsoever. But it kind of culminated, it's a novella, and it kind of culminated into something I felt happened too quickly in such a way where I was hoping there would be a little bit more subtlety, a little bit more nuance in the storytelling. Granted, you can tell he's definitely riffing on pulp stuff. He even mentions John Carter of Mars in the book. Yeah, it just kind of evolved into something that I didn't find quite as interesting because I love pulp stories, but for me, like, I think I like the idea of modern pulp stories as having that essence of pulp, but making it a little bit more mature for modern readers. In that, back then, those guys like Robert E. Howard, they were just cranking out stuff to make money. They were writing as fast as they could just to make a buck because they were getting paid by the page or by the word. Whereas now, that's not how it works, unless maybe you're writing short stories. But it felt like I wish it would have had a little bit more just oomph to it, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And I know that's a terrible articulation. I'll try to get more in detail if I review it. Am I going to review it? I don't know. Maybe I'll do a really short review because it's a very short book. I don't think I have a ton to say about it, but I'd say I enjoyed it overall. I enjoyed it way more than The Strange, but was it worth it? Was it worth my time? Yeah, it was worth my time. Is it worth your time? I don't know. If any of this rambling talk sounds good to you, maybe check it out. I got it on sale right now. I think it's maybe like $3 or $4.99, the ebook anyway. Which I think when it launched, it was like $9.99. I'm like, I'm not paying $10 for less than 100 pages. I think that's ridiculous. There is a sequel. It's part of a trilogy. I'll shut up now. Those are all the books that I read in April. So let's talk about TBRs, everybody. TBR. What am I going to read this month? Well, I might be a little bit ambitious, but I think I can do it. So let's talk about the first book I'm reading. Actually, I'm reading these two books in tandem, but I'm going to talk about the first one first. That is The Collector by John Fowles. I believe the great Carol Wainwright as well reviewed this, and it really piqued my interest. And it just popped up on the Discord server because, again, this is a buddy read. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I bought it a while back. I should read it, and I'm loving it. I'm like halfway through it already. I know, crazy, I'm getting a little bit of a head start, but it's really damn good. It's about this guy. It was written in the 60s, first and foremost. It's about this guy who he becomes obsessed with this woman, kidnaps her. He buys this house with some money he won, and creates this like hidden chamber in the basement for her before he kidnaps her and brings her in. And so it's kind of like Silence of the Lambs in that regard, although he doesn't seem to be after her skin so far anyway. And it seems like a very simple setup, but I think according to the Wikipedia page or maybe the Amazon page, it was talking about how this is the first thriller ever, I guess, or coined the first thriller. So I'm not sure how accurate that is, but yeah, it's really damn good. So it's written in first person from the kidnapper's point of view, but then it switches POV to the victim's point of view. And I'm not sure how much longer this goes because I'm not sure if the last two parts, it's a 4-part book, if it flip-flops back and forth again or what, but the first and second parts are really long. But man, I was really engaged. The writing is so interesting from a POV standpoint because he's writing it very deeply in the POV, which as you should, because it's in first person of the kidnapper. It has this like simple way of speaking or of writing, of observing the world, but also there's some like weird grammatical stuff that is totally intentional. And then you have the contrast with the victim, the way she speaks. And so You can tell that John Fowles really took time to understand and create character voice in this, and it's so good. I'm really enjoying it. I hope it comes together in the end totally. I hope I can give this thing a very glowing score. I'll definitely review this one because I think this is a book that a lot of people should read. You know, it's one of those things where it's a book that I don't know how much notoriety it has, but often when you go back in time, and like I said, this was written in the 60s, people often are always chasing the latest release and stuff, but there's so many gems out there that we've never read that are in the past that still feel modern, you know, even from that far back. And anyway, I'll stop gushing about the book. I may regret it if I get to the end and don't like it, but so far, so good. The Collector by John Fowles. I'm also reading alongside it The Moon is a Harsh Mistress by the late, the great Robert Heinlein. I've tried to read Heinlein numerous times. Stranger in a Strange Land, Starship Troopers, I believe, and just could never get into it. But this one, again, another buddy read on my Discord server. So if you want to read either of these books alongside me, as well as plenty of people on the server, check out the link down below. We have some channels dedicated to them, so we are discussing them as we read. But this book, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what it was about whatsoever, and it's okay. It's okay. I love the first chapter. Fantastic first chapter. It's funny. It's clever. It has this kind of 2001 Space Odyssey kind of vibe to it, where there's a very intelligent AI or robot computer. That's right. He's a computer, but it takes place on the moon, and they are planning a rebellion, a revolt against a kind of an authoritarian figure. Let's call it the government. You can tell that Heinlein is way, way, way more interested in maybe how a revolt or rebellion is created from the ground up, you know, all the details therein, all the things you have to look out for, all of the safeguards you have to put in place, all of the people you may need or may not need, all of the danger. Anyway, all of that stuff, because he goes into excruciating detail, for my taste anyway, of that expository. But another thing I wasn't a fan of, and thankfully it only happened in a couple of chapters, is that it feels like a few characters anyway are really just talking heads to convey Heinlein's ideas about, you know, philosophical ideas and, you know, the competing ones therein. So they're talking about libertarianism and all these other things and what each of these characters believes in. And it feels like a very on the nose conversation a la Ayn Rand, where the fiction is really there to be a platform for her own voice, in this case, for his own voice. I'm not a fan of that kind of fiction. Write nonfiction if that's the kind of stuff you want to do. If you want to get ideas across or messages across or explore these things, do it in such a way that you're doing it with the fiction, right? It's implied. It's not literal in the literal dialogue here. So those are my first observations. I'm only about, I think, 30%, 40% maybe into it. It's, I'm kind of mixed on it so far. I'm not sure if it's going to get better, if it's going to get worse. We shall see. So that is it for The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. So the third book I'm going to read. I know, it's not the last book. You noticed that. I said the third book. It's Pen Pal by Dathan Arbach, I think you say his name. So I've heard stories about this one. I've heard it's a good one. I heard it had its origins on the creepypasta forums, where this author would post these short stories, and then he kind of perfected them, I guess, into the novel Pen Pal. So it's about a man, as far as I know, looking back on his life. There's a lot of weird, creepy stuff that happened, of course, creepypasta. So I thought it would be a good opportunity, a great opportunity for me to try this one out finally. It's a shorter book. And I'm actually working on kind of a creepypasta liminal spaces writing project for another channel, yet to be disclosed. I'm not sure if I'm even going to tell you out there. You might have to discover it on your own. But anyway, I thought it would be a bit of research, and I hear a lot of good things, or I've heard a lot of good things. So Pen Pal, have you read it? Let me know in the comments. The second to last book I'm going to read in May has been recommended to me numerous times by my good friend on the Discord server from the great country of Georgia. Lord of Light by Roger Zelazny, because, and I quote, he said, "It will change your life." I don't know if he was kidding. You can tell me in the comments if you were kidding, if you watch these videos. Roger Zelazny, I've read some of his stuff way back, The Chronicles of Amber. I didn't read all of them. I read maybe 3 of them. I enjoyed them. I enjoyed them for what I read. So I'm excited to finally check this one out. It's another sci-fi classic. It won the Hugo way back when. Way back when you might say the Hugo Award actually meant something. So we shall see. Lord of Light, that is going to be the book I'm going to read. I know little about it other than, because I just want to go in blind, other than I think there's a guy in it who is looked at as the Messiah of some, as a Messiah of some kind. And yeah, that's all I know. I know that's not worth talking about, but check it out, Lord of Light. If you've read it, let me know in the comments how you felt about it. Is it overrated? Is it underrated? Is it a book that I am should be so excited to read? I'm excited for it. So we'll see how that goes. And the last book, I know, 1, 2, 3, 4 books, 5 books in 1 month. Are you crazy? Yeah, I think I'm crazy this month. We'll see. But I think it's only because I've gotten a head start on the first 2. So you guys know how it is. Number 1, go down in the comments, recommend me a book, and upvote it. Don't forget you can upvote your own comment. And you guys out there who don't want to give me a title but want to upvote other ones, do that, because that is how I'm going to pick these for the poll. So first and foremost, recommend me a book. If you want to, you don't have to. You can always stick around for the upvotes. Also, you can upvote your own comment. And then second, I will take the most upvoted books down in the comments. Hopefully there's enough. If not, it'll be the order in which they were submitted. I will put those into a poll on YouTube. There's only 4 titles I can fit in a poll. YouTube used to do like 5 or 6. Now it's only 4. Unfortunately, I wish I could do more, but anyway. So the top 4 books will be in a poll for you to vote on out there. And then whichever book wins, I'm going to read it and I will review it. That is my pledge to you. Every book that you guys suggest that gets chosen, I will read it and I will review it here. That's it. Long video. Oh man, by the time count, 29 minutes. It's going to be a long video. I apologize. I'll put chapter markers down. It's the end of the video. Why am I telling you that now? There will be chapter markers. Anyway, let me know what you're reading. What are you guys reading right now? I'd love to hear it. Are there any hidden gems you discovered last month? Stuff that you think I would like? Let me know. Also, yeah, suggest it too, to be part of the poll. But anyway, thank you guys so much for all the support. Thanks for watching for all these years, for you guys out there who have been with me for a long time. And thanks for hanging out with me. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.